Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
At Metro Transit, they want to say thank you to those who have been riding with them, reintroduce themselves to those who have been away, and welcome those who are new to the community and transit system. During this time of transition, Metro Transit is excited to offer $1 rides for the months of September and October as our region continues to move forward together. Learn more at metrotransit.org/dollar rides. That's metrotransit.org/dollar rides.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College will help you get where you want to go. Located downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, one-on-one mentorship, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality. Connect with a counselor today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies overnight with a low around 59, Thursday cloudy with a high near 71, and Thursday night a chance for rain with a low around 59. Air Seal Tech is Minnesota's premier insulation contractor. Air Seal Tech's highly trained installers can help your home stay comfortable and energy efficient year-round with easy and affordable air sealing and insulation upgrades. Call 612-888-3664. That's Air Seal Tech. They bring comfort home.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanjahade, which means, Wendy, what?
Distant Thunder.
Oh, yeah. I love my name. And my colonized name, which I like too, because it's kind of unique, is Robert Pilot and taxpayer name. And boy, we pay a lot of taxes, Wendy. We are Native Roots Radio, and what we do is we amplify voices and bring out the truth for our allies all over Turtle Island. And it's really been a pleasure all these years, Wendy, to be doing this.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic. They partnered with the American Indian Cancer Society, and they're hosting a vaccine event on Friday, September 10th, between 3 and 6 p.m., and it'll take place at the American Indian Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. So on Friday, September 10th, head on down and get your vaccine.
So do you miss the fair, Wendy?
I do miss the fair. I miss the old fair. I don't know if I'd miss this fair.
Yeah.
I don't want to go and be around lots and lots of people who I don't know their vaccination status. So I don't know if I would feel safe about that. And I've been hearing, from other people that there are like half the amount of people there.
Yeah.
I had a drive over there just yesterday to run an errand, and usually there you avoid that area at all costs because of fair traffic,
Right.
and there wasn't any.
Yeah,
None.
it's interesting.
No
Wendy
traffic.
and I go 8-9 times a year. Normally, we're kind of close to the state fair, one of the largest fairs of the country. It's second to Texas, and we want to get rid of Texas as part of the United States now after they're changing the laws there on women's bodies.
Exactly.
But that's besides the point. We did our show there live. It's been fun, but I really don't miss it, and I really feel like there'll be a lot of COVID idiots there. COVIDiots, thank you. So I'm here staying safe with you at home and, trying to rock the boat Native style. So, hey, let's get Ogimaa on. We talk about Native issues and Native-centric news all over Turtle Island, and I know people love this segment almost as much as your segment, Wendy, but, it's a close second. So on with Ogimaa with the news. Welcome.
Hi, Anim Buju, everybody. I'm Ogimaa Giniw Ikwe. I am an enrolled member of the Red Lake Nation in northern Minnesota, and I'm here with you on Native Roots Radio with some news. This is an interesting piece of news that I just seen come through today. So a new report from the Indigenous Environmental Network and Oil Change International reveals that Indigenous resistance has stopped or delayed greenhouse gases pollution equivalent to at least 25% of the annual U.S. and Canadian emissions. 25% has been stopped or delayed by Indigenous resistance. So that is a big deal. And again, and all of the negative that we're getting right now from, the Line 3 project and what's happening with that, battling both the state and the federal government to honor our treaty rights. I think that is something that we can all celebrate as Indigenous people and with our allies, that they've taken our lead on that. And I think that that's something that really we should talk about. If you would like to read the full article, it's available at ienearth.org / Indigenous resistance against carbon if you want to read the full article. But that was like the big takeaway from that report. And it's really exciting. Don't you think, Robert and Wendy?
Yeah, I'm totally excited as Ogimaa is shutting her door and getting silence happening. I think it's really interesting that, just like Meatless Monday I talk about all the time, just a little bit from everybody taking care of stuff. Things happen. Just a little trickle of water.
Exactly. Everybody doesn't have to do anything. Everything, but if they just do something, and even some small things make big differences.
That's what I tried to say. Thank you.
You did.
Exactly. That's exactly it too. And like here on Native Roots Radio, we support and report those who are working to bring about a just transition here in the world. It's important that needs to happen. I also
support Lewis, write that down. That's our next t-shirt. Support and report Native Roots Radio. I like it.
So the other thing that I want to touch base on too is that federal court was in session this morning in Minnesota because on August 5th, an action was filed in the White Earth Tribal Court in Minnesota by Manoomin or Wild Rice with the White Earth Band of Ojibwe and several tribal members to stop the state of Minnesota from allowing Enbridge Corporation to use 5 billion gallons of water for the construction of the oil pipeline known as Line 3. So this is the first case brought in a tribal court to enforce the rights of nature and the first rights of nature case brought to enforce treaty guarantees. So basically, what ended up happening is the Minnesota DNR, who the Manoomin and White Earth Nation and others were suing for allowing Enbridge to pull this water and affecting the wild rice very much so in a negative way. The DNR attempted to sue them back, saying that they did not have jurisdiction in their own tribal court. So that went down at about 11 a.m. today at the federal courthouse building in St. Paul, Minnesota. I haven't gotten any more news on what the results of that were or how long they're going to be in session deciding on that.
Joke.
But yeah, right.
What a joke.
But the rights of Manoomin or the rights of wild rice that are filed in this case are the right to clean water and freshwater habitat, the right to a natural environment free from industrial pollution, the right to a healthy, stable climate free from human-caused climate change impacts, the right to be free from patenting, and the right to be free from contamination by genetically engineered organisms, which is a big deal that those last two are in there. If you know anything about the history of wild rice in Minnesota, the University of Minnesota actually took wild rice and essentially exported it out to California and started genetically engineering and modifying it for sale out of California. So there's a big difference between some of that wild rice that you get in the grocery store that's hard and black and it doesn't cook up soft, and what actually comes off of the water here in Minnesota. So fun fact about that. Enbridge announced also that they are getting ready to ship crude oil across the Line 3 pipeline by October. The company is offering 620,000 barrels a day of capacity on the Line 3 oil pipeline in October, according to a notice it sent to its shippers. The Line 3 project is obviously scheduled to go into operation in the fourth quarter, according to an email from Enbridge. However, there's still numerous factors, including line fill, system outages for construction, and tie-in work that need to be completed, as an Enbridge spokesperson said in the email. So Enbridge is already announcing how much oil they can ship in a pipeline they have not yet finished, which I think is a bit of a joke. Also in Line 3 news today, the United Nations Committee on Elimination of Racial Discrimination has taken an extraordinary measure, and they've requested a response from the United States regarding allegations of human rights violations against the Anishinaabe people associated with the Line 3 pipeline construction. Honor the Earth and Giniw Collective sent that request on March 29th of 2021, and on August 31st, CERD published a letter to the U.S. government telling them that they need a response to these allegations. And the letter notes, among other things, that these rights and violations would amount to a violation of the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, which the U.S. has signed and ratified. So the fact that this is getting international attention right now is huge. That's big news here.
Yeah, totally. It's amazing. It's just a daunting, Wendy, every day. That's why it'll be fun. This next segment, Pinigigi Ogimaa for the news, and we're going to have a roundtable, and we're also going to invite people listening and on Facebook Live to join in for this segment. That's 952-946-6205. 952 I forgot the number. 952-946-6205. Give us a call, Madison. See what's up. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and today's Bob Blake and some more bear news from Wendy. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager. the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
We are Calusa Nation.
Hey, welcome back. Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Hey, what do we do here, Wendy? We support and report. That's going to be on our new T-shirt. And I just made that up. Sorry, Ogimaa. No, I'm just kidding. That was awesome.
Ogimaa
but we do
made it up.
Well, yeah. But we'll get the T-shirts out pronto. But yeah, so one of the things I wanted to bring everybody on, and hopefully we can get a call from somebody that wants to talk to us and tell Wendy how great a job she's doing and all about the bear section. One thing I wanted to bring up too, when you were talking about wild rice, it's awesome. There's different for northern Minnesota. There's different colors, different flavors from different tribes, and I really like what we're known as wild rice up there. What do you guys like the best?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm not sure which one I like the best. I think everybody has, they always are affiliated and tend to be favorites. Their wild rice tends to come from the tribe they're closest to or the tribe that they know, which for me would be Red Lake, but we don't get too much wild rice out of there anymore. But I have had Mille Lacs wild rice, and I do enjoy that. The Mille Lacs Lake is closest to me, so I'd say that's maybe my favorite.
Lewis, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, as a Lakota, we're not really rice eaters that much, but I'll take any rice that's in front of me that's buttered really well. Maybe wild rice soup type of thing. Anything like that, I'm a big fan of.
You guys are all wrong. I like wild rice that's free. That gives me,
We have quite a lot of it, and I cook it a lot too.
Yeah.
And we give it away too. So
yeah, well,
I do cook rice at least once a week.
It's right. It's amazing too how you do it. Wendy, why don't you tell everyone, because it's awesome how
I cook it in a rice cooker.
Right. Who would have thought?
There's not any special thing. It's like 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of water, I think.
And it is al dente, like everybody does. It's really.
Sometimes I put vegan butter. I'll put some spices in it. Sometimes I make it differently every time. So sometimes I'll add some other vegetables to it. So
right, I like to it. That's right. So we have open lines here at 952-946-6205. Just throwing that out there. It reminds us when we first started the show, Wendy, and we'd say the number and no one would call.
Yeah. Well, you know what it reminds me of? The first time we were ever on the radio, and we went to the studio in Eden Prairie.
Yeah.
And there we were, and we had a couple of guests that were going to join us to do the radio show for an hour. And for whatever reason, whatever happened, no one could make it in.
Right.
Yeah, so our first show was just you and I and Uncle Curtis, the 3 of us.
Jaleesa.
Oh, Jaleesa was there too. That's right. Robert's daughter, Jaleesa.
Yeah.
So the 4 of us, we were just there, and we were like, hamana.
Well, we listened to that show, and Standing Rock was still going on at the time.
We talked about our experience.
And everyone
there,
that was in the studio had been there at least once.
Right.
So
that turned out good.
It turned out good. Maybe the second and third show might have been a real downer in the end of my career, but
it was scary though. We were all nervous about being on the radio. First of all, it looks like we have a caller here, and they're typing in the name and stuff. So we'll let you know.
It's Georgia from Texas.
Ooh.
Oh, Georgia, you were in the comments too.
She's
going to talk about wild rice.
Why don't you come on, Georgia, and talk about that Texas wild rice? Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
I wish I could, because I love rice. I didn't know where I can get it in Texas. I'm here close to the capital of Texas, And I was like, oh, can y'all send me some of that raw rice y'all was talking about? Because my mama, she used to cook, let me taught butter and rice. That's what she used to give us for breakfast. And my husband never heard of it, eating butter and rice. And I said, yeah, that's what we used to have for breakfast before we go to school every morning,
Yeah.
And she would serve that to us. And, oh, that's the best thing, butter and rice.
Wow. Thank you so much for listening. And we pray for Texas now, the way the government's treating our women out there. So Pinigigi for stopping in. Hey, we have Connie from White Earth, and she wants to talk about the White Earth lawsuit. Come on, Connie. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you. Say, I'm from Minneapolis, and I went to the courtroom for the White Earth suit, and first, it made me really appreciate that White Earth lawyer, because just listening to 1 hour to all the convolutions that the Enbridge lawyer comes up with, it really kind of messes with your head. And just think of all the time he spends dealing with all of that Enbridge and their legal convolutions. But about the judge did query 3 or 4 times why she would be entitled to judge a tribal government's lawsuit, which I thought was a good sign. And she doesn't seem the type to set precedents when she's been handed this case. And it would be a great precedent for honoring the Constitution and that treaties are supremely U.S. law. And if she does what White Earth Tribe is doing, which it's so obvious, White Earth people are proceeding with spiritual integrity. And if she can do the same, White Earth will win. So anyway, I hope she was inspired by the people who were in her courtroom today. Wow. And the Enbridge lawyer, he had a lot of suggestions to the judge about what she should do. To me, it seems like he was trying to instruct her. You know, that Enbridge lawyer was bad news. So anyway, that's basically my report.
Right on, Connie. We really appreciate the report.
Yeah, miigwech.
And also, you're inspiring not only for listening to us, but going to the courtroom and speaking up for the water and people that can't speak for themselves. So I really appreciate you coming on, Connie.
Well, we appreciate each other. So bye.
Hi, Jooni. Hey, go ahead, Ogimaa.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out then, since Connie came on and mentioned him. Frank Bebeau is the lawyer that is heading this case for the White Earth Nation. So miigwech to you, Frank, and the work that you're doing.
So again, there's an ally who I believe Connie was a white person, and we need all the allies we can get. Lewis, she quoted the Supreme Court. I mean, the more we talk about it, the more real it is, right, Lewis?
Yeah, and the more real it is, because treaties are living documents. They're documents today, and that's something that White Earth has been talking about quite a bit when it comes to Line 3, that we as Indigenous people talk about quite a bit is, when we talk about treaty rights, we're talking about the rights of human beings. We're talking about us, right? And our allies, I think, do such a great job, like, going to these type of courtroom proceedings and being there and talking about it and making it visible. Visibility is a big challenge when it comes to Indigenous people, Robert, and that's what we're doing here today.
Yeah, no doubt, Wendy. We're still here, and we are the 7th generation. And I mean, I don't say that lightly, because just like we talked to we brought this up a few times, Wendy. We talked to our neighbor at the marina, and who spews out and reads news almost every night, thinks that this is a done deal.
Right, that Enbridge is already done. The oil is running through the pipes, and the pipes are already in the ground. But that is not what
that's
the
not the
is.
case.
Yeah,
that's not the case. Go ahead.
As we heard from Enbridge too, they're already selling their oil before it's even coming through the pipe. They're already announcing to potential buyers that they're going to have this many gallons of oil available, and they haven't even completed the pipeline. I mean, they're putting the horse before the cart here, especially with Indigenous people now stopping 25% of carbon pollution. I think they don't really realize what a formidable group of people that they're up against in Indigenous populations.
Right. That's a really good point. And Lewis, you know, all the way back to history, even the short history of the American Indian movement and how they used their tactics. We're going in a peaceful way, and one of the things I think we're all leading in a spiritual way and a good way, right, Lewis?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it harkens back to that term, guys. Remember that term, rabble rousing, right? You're a rabble rouser. You know, it's an old school term, but you know, look at the 50s, 60s with American Indian activism. You know, like what I want to say is this: is that one of my neighbors recently, and this kind of comes to heart. I talked to him about, you know, Line 3 and said, you know, like, look, this is what's going on. This is an issue. And it was, you know, a non-Indian person. And the next day they put up pro Line 3 banners in their house, right? Very just, you know, this is a very Minnesotan thing, you know, passive aggressive, not being confrontational. But again, you know, as Indigenous people, with our activism, we're always seen as a problem. You know, they're so active, they're complaining, they're whining, and all this. And what it is, it's easy to protect the status quo. It's easy to protect corporations because they got billions of dollars that have seeped into your mind and say, you know what, the earth doesn't matter. We've only been here for, you know, a certain amount of years, and these indigenous people are raising a fuss. Well, we're raising a fuss for your children. Our activism is protecting your children, and your children are not indigenous, but yet they still drink the same water. That's what we're protecting.
Hey, we're the home team. We've been here 10,000 years, and we ain't going nowhere. And I just quoted Winona LaDuke. I love that quote. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. Peeny Gigi to the callers. Up next, Bob Blake with Solar Bear and the Solar Bear News. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Stay with us. If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
It's time to experience the amazing flavors of eatlocalminnesota.com. It's your key to unlocking the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities. Crooner's Supper Club is a little piece of old school nightlife in the 21st century. Enjoy a delicious dinner, fabulous cocktails, and music from some of the best jazz artists in 2 elegant indoor venues, plus the outdoor Belvedere stage. And check croonersmn.com to see the upcoming schedule of great jazz artists. That's Crooner's Supper Club, just north of 694 off Highway 65 and at croonersmn.com. Come visit the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or weekend brunch. For breakfast, try the slow-cooked brisket hash, hippie cakes, and meat waffle. While for lunch, enjoy favorites like the buttermilk fried chicken sandwich or veggie burger. Hazel's is open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 8 to 8, with a Sunday brunch from 8 to 2. Located off 29th and Johnson in Northeast Minneapolis. More at hazelsne2go.com.
In Minnesota, perinatal and postpartum mothers have legal protections to help keep them safe and healthy in the workplace. That means exclusions from heavy lifting, safe spots for breastfeeding, and more. The Women's Economic Security Act protects the rights of pregnant and postpartum women to work safely during pregnancy and to express breast milk at work. The Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry is here to help you and to protect your rights. Call 800-342-5354 or visit dli.mn.gov/new parents.
Hi, everybody. I'm Santita Jackson, and I want you and all your friends to join my new show, The Santita Jackson Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 a.m. Central on the Progressive Voice of Minnesota.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
SeniorCommunities.guide is your free online website to find housing, care, and resources for seniors in Minnesota. Use the powerful, award-winning search tool at SeniorCommunities.guide to quickly improve your search. You will have all the information you need to contact providers directly without any hassle. Start your search now at SeniorCommunities.guide and follow us on Facebook for interesting articles, helpful advice, and how older adults are changing the world. That's SeniorCommunities.guide.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies overnight with a low around 59, Thursday cloudy with a high near 71, and Thursday night a chance for rain with a low around 59. The Great Wall Restaurant in Edina provides a delicious taste of Szechuan and Mandarin cuisine. They have some delicious meat and seafood options plus veggies, fried rice, and noodles. The Great Wall Restaurant's located just north of 50th and France on the Edina-Minneapolis border. Order online at greatwalledina.com.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, it's Wednesday, right?
It is Wednesday.
So it's the Solar Bear with the Solar News, and we got Bob Blake here. Still waiting for our swag to be delivered, but welcome, Bob. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, Robert? Hey, Robert, gas vehicle cars are crashing. Electric vehicle sales, EV vehicle sales are up significantly. What does that say about all the oil that you guys have just been talking about? Where are they going to sell that to, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
They're trying to get rid of all their oil while they still can.
yeah, it's right here. Clean Tech just did a report on gas vehicles crashing. So EVs are up. I don't know what Tim Walz and the rest of our Joe Biden and Melvin Carter and those guys are all thinking. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this isn't just, this is ridiculous. Another story. The Navajo Nation is considering purchasing a power plant, a coal-fired power plant from the biggest utility in New Mexico. They're going to sell it to the Navajo Nation. What does that tell you, Robert, about the future, about what utilities think about coal for the future if they're going to start selling off their assets to whoever, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's saying they're getting out. They're getting out. And why is Navajo Nation buying that, though? That's a question, too, right?
Well, I mean, it's jobs and it's economic development, right? Like that's what they're thinking about. But like the bigger picture is like it's a money pit. Right? Like that's what they need to think about. Like it's not worth it, right? I mean, even the biggest electric utility in New Mexico is saying to the Navajo Nation, please take this off of our hands.
Hey, so do you have any news on what's happening in Louisiana and all the lines down, 1 million people with no electricity? Wouldn't it be great if there was a solar farm out there?
Right. And I want to send out a special shout out to a couple of buddies of mine at the Footprint Project, Will and Nate Hegard. I mean, these two brothers, their brothers are actually brothers, and they're here from Minnesota, and they go around to all these natural disasters and they provide solar trailers and power to the communities. And they're down there in New Orleans right now. Got a couple other buddies that are with them, and I just wish them like safety. And just my heart goes out to them and like wish them like, thank you for doing everything you do for that community down there and all the community they do. So they do just great job. So they're if you can, everyone go ahead and donate to them. The Footprint Project. They're really good guys.
Wow, good news. I really appreciate you bringing that up, Bob.
Robert, I wanna talk about the story here that just came out today. Tesla plans to sell electricity in Texas and cut out the middleman. The reason why I say this is important, or why I'm telling you the story, is because this is exactly what I've been talking about for tribal nations can do, right? We can create our own energy and distribute it and cut out the middleman, right? Cut out the co-op, or cut out, our service provider, or actually even just work with them. But Tesla is going to do it in Texas. And I mean, if they're successful, Robert, tribal nations across Turtle Island can just follow this playbook.
Wow, that's exciting. Can you explain it a little more? So how would that work? Would they would generate their own energy? Would they have their own wiring and infrastructure? How would that work? Just generally, if you know.
So they would basically, the wires ain't going to change, right? Nothing's going to change. The infrastructure ain't going to change. What they're going to do, though, is they're going to produce the energy from solar and batteries, and they're going to sell the electricity, just like if they were putting coal. They had a coal fire plant. It'd be the same thing, except for that they would be selling and distributing energy on the grid. And I think it's going to be successful. I mean, Elon Musk isn't stupid.
Right, exactly. And that's a good idea. And I think that's the tribes out there listening, with all this COVID money and APRA money. That money's supposed to last us 100 years. So we need to look forward and be forward looking.
And absolutely, Robert, 7 generations thinking here. You know what I mean? Like, we really need to be thinking about how we're going to take care of our communities in extreme weather events. They're happening more often. They're happening more frequently. And we're going to have to train up our people to be able to service, our community. And we've been doing this for hundreds of years, Robert. We're just taking it to another level now.
Right. We're fighting fire with fire. And, I talked to Dallas Goldtooth a couple weeks ago, and it's just like, it kind of shook me, but he's right. We're burning. London's burning. This is the world's burning. It really is.
It was so interesting. Last week, on Monday, we had a good talk with Mayor Carter, and explained to him why he needs to stand up against Line 3. And what was really interesting about that conversation, Robert, was he was just asking, I need to get some information on this. And I just kind of wanted to ask him, do you look outside your window? Do you see it? Are you watching the news? Are you paying attention to what's around you? We just had 4 people get shot last night in St. Paul. And as it gets hotter, statistics show that more violence takes place in communities. So this is one of the problems that I think that these politicians need to think about, is how is it going to affect our public safety? How is it going to affect our communities? And they just need to wake up.
They really do. Somebody reached out to support the mayor, and I said, stop Line 3. And he said, well, we'll have to talk to him about it. I don't know if he knows anything about it. And, Wendy, we for a month could not breathe because of forest fires. Let's remember that. We could not breathe through this whole state.
Couldn't go out and go for a walk. It was too hot and the air was too
When in
bad.
your whole life has that ever happened
ever,
before?
Ever, never.
Right, Robert? Jeez.
And thinking about that, Robert, here's another story I want to share with you. And this is not a good story, but 1 billion children in the world face extreme climate risk. So we're talking about food. We're talking about food insecurity. We're talking about just being able to go outside and play. We're all kids. We all go outside and play. Kids are not going to be able to go outside and play because it's going to be 130 degrees. The Middle East is going to be 130 degrees, people, in the next couple of years.
Arizona is.
Yeah, this is serious. Yes, this is serious. And so, I mean, I'm telling these politicians, they need to get on it, because or we need to the people need to elect people that are going to get in there and be climate champions, because this is the biggest existential crisis to mankind that we're facing right now.
Oh, Ogimaa, did you have something, Ogimaa? I saw you raise your.
Yeah, the thing that I was going to mention was actually pretty close to what Bob Blake mentioned, is that children of color are at highest risk of this too. I just seen something come out, and I apologize, I don't remember my source on this, but there was a group that determined that the BIPOC neighborhoods, even in the Twin Cities, there's a 10-degree temperature difference between the BIPOC neighborhoods and the white neighborhoods in Minneapolis. And imagine how bad those disparities are in even larger metropolitan cities. And now we're looking at that on a worldwide scale. That's a lot of children. That's a lot of people that are affected by heat, that are affected incredibly negatively. And this is why we got to call for not just a transition, but a just transition. We can't have all this wealth from the EVs and all those things transferred into the same hands of the people who were going to do nothing about it in the first place.
Mitigation and adaptation strategies have to be at the forefront of these city governments and state and county governments now. There's no stopping this train now, Robert. You know what I mean? And that's like when I was running for city council, one of my big things was, let's do community gardens. They act like air conditioners for the community. You know what I mean? And then not only that though, but if we could bring community together, create meals out of this, you know what I mean? This is how we build community. So I mean, it's just those little tangible things that we need to do. And I just hope that St. Paul, Minneapolis gets with it.
Well, we have 400 days roughly, and I have to find out the exact amount because I've been tiptoeing around that number since it was 500 about a month or two ago. But 400 days until the next election, and and we need to really push this up.
Robert, do you know that Joseph Peltier, Opera Guard Peltier? So he's running for Congressional District 7, Michelle Fishbach's district. He's a Native guy. We got to get behind him.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to get behind him.
Yeah. Well, we got to get behind all people that speak in a good way, because the last round of elections, we have really a lot of climate justice people, but we still also have, which is called the moderate Democrats and the Republicans, that do not see what we see and feel here as BIPOC people and also inner city people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And so, I mean, Robert, I hope that Mayor Carter does the right thing and he comes to his senses and, goes ahead and stands up against Line 3 and takes a stand. We did our best as the St. Paul Climate Justice Advisory Board. By the way, I want to let everybody know that we had 20 votes to 0 to do this. So we made our recommendation, and that's pretty much that's all we could do.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. I was in Madison. We walk our neighborhood here, and we see Stop Line 3 signs in the yard all over, Wendy. And so we're excited that there are many people that are in this fight, in this battle for the next 7 generations, Bob.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for being on, as always. That's Bob Blake, and with the Solar News with the Solar Bear, and he is the Solar Bear. So I really appreciate you stopping in. And up next, Wendy, what are we going to be talking about?
Well, I have some good news and I have some bad news.
Well, I thought we were doing the Bears.
I'm going to do the bad news first because I have to save the good news for Friday.
Okay. All right. Switch her up. You're listening. Good to see you, Bob. You're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents. I'm Awake.
Stay with us.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more. Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
In Minnesota, perinatal and postpartum mothers have legal protections to help keep them safe and healthy in the workplace. That means exclusions from heavy lifting, safe spots for breastfeeding, and more. The Women's Economic Security Act protects the rights of pregnant and postpartum women to work safely during pregnancy and to express breast milk at work. The Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry is here to help you and to protect your rights. Call 800-342-5354 or visit dli.mn.gov/newparents.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Wow, I laugh every time. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I think Ogimaa just took off for a minute here and is getting resi on her kids right now. So
I don't know if anybody was tuning in for the first couple sections there. They were pretty clear in the background. It's my daughter and my nephew that are playing here today.
right by the door, it sounded like. Hey,
It sounded like it.
yeah. Hey, so Wendy, tell us what's happening. Tell us your name and tell us the information you're bringing today, because I'm going to make this short so you can just jump right into
Because
it.
you don't have any in your notes in front of you. But
Oh,
anyway, this portion of the
busted.
show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Roof!
Watch on Facebook Live.
That was
See
a bark.
the wolf going in and out. So, yep. And Howling for Wolves is our one of our most longest and longest sponsors. So go for Howling for Wolves. They're always
It's a
looking
pleasure.
it really is.
It's a pleasure to have that group who has stopped single-handedly almost for years,
Yes.
stopping the wolf hunt and delisting the wolves.
In Minnesota,
Wendy.
that's
Yeah,
right. Yep. So we got to give them a lot of credit. They're a great organization. So my name is Hanaji Hihani, and that means cares for them. And as everybody knows, I was given that name by my Dega Curtis, who is Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds. I am a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level. And it's always my pleasure to work on animal issues when I can.
Yeah.
And, what I was talking about the bears yesterday, and we did like a question and answer, which we will do today. We will get to in just a moment, but I did get an update today from Colorado. I said that yesterday, Colorado Governor Jared Polis called on the Bureau of Land Management to stand down and impose a 6-month moratorium on the wild horse roundups that are actually happening right now in Colorado. But sadly enough, the Bureau of Land Management, the BLM, said, no, we're the federal government and we're going to do what we want. And of course, they acquiesce to the ranchers and the cattlemen who want their sheep and cows to graze on this land. So unfortunately, the helicopters started the roundups today. Fortunately, it did start raining there in Colorado, and they had to stop for a while. So I'm just praying that it rains. So the longer it rains, the longer the helicopters will stay down. So we need to keep calling. So we need to keep calling Deb Halland. If you could give her a call, she needs to really step up and take care of this because she can. Her phone number is 202 208-3100. And I can't remember if it's option 2 or 3. So you'll have to just check it out. 202-208-3100. And there's also people in the Colorado BLM if you want to get in touch with them. I'll put the stuff up on our Facebook page and you could click on it and give them a call and just say that you're against the roundup. That's all you have to say. But anyway, let's get back to these bears. This is a New York Times article, and a friend of mine on Facebook did post it, and I thought it was pretty good. We're going to start with question 8 because that's what we got through last night. So Fina Kiefer was lost in the Alaskan wilderness in June after being chased off the trail by a bear. Fortunately, she was carrying this, which experts say is the most effective bear deterrent in backcountry. Is it a gun? Is it bear spray? Is it flares or an air horn? Which is the most effective bear deterrent in backcountry?
Bear spray?
Bear spray.
Air horn? Well, Wendy kind of gave it away. She's like, bear spray. That's the right answer. I think that's, yeah.
It is. Bear spray it is. Bear spray is what you need to carry if you're in backcountry where there's bears. Okay, here's the next one. You're hiking through the trails of the Yellowstone and notice a bear across a distant field. Of the following activities, you probably most hope the bear is doing what? Grazing, standing on its hind legs, yawning, or swinging its head from side to side. So which of the following activities would you probably most hope the bear is doing?
Yawning.
Okay. Who else?
I say grazing because then they're not hungry for you.
Okay.
Grazing probably, yeah.
Grazing is the answer. Awesome. Grazing. Okay, next. A bear stops grazing and stands on its hind legs. Its nose is in the air. It has clearly noticed you. It puffs itself up and begins moving towards you. The worst thing you can probably do at this point is to stand your ground, make yourself as big as possible, waving your arms over your head, yell loudly, or run. So what is the worst thing you could probably do at this point?
Run.
Run.
I would say run, yeah.
Run is the answer.
I'm slow
run.
anyway.
You want to stand your ground. You want to make yourself look as big as possible by waving your arms over your head, and you want to yell loudly. So those are the things you want to do.
What should you yell?
Just
like, hey.
He doesn't understand English.
No honey here. No honey.
Hey.
Don't bite me.
Yeah, please.
Welcome to this episode of Who on Native Roots Radio Would Survive Bears.
Okay, here's another one. This one's a good one. There's a tree nearby that you know you could climb. What is the minimal height you would need to ascend to be pretty sure the bear couldn't reach you? Is it 10 feet, 20 feet, 40 feet, or 60 feet? How high do you have to climb?
Oh, God, at least 60 feet because those babies can climb. And if they're heavy and it's 60 feet will bend the tree.
But I'm getting vertigo at 60 feet and I'm dropping down by myself, so it doesn't help, right? So that's.
So then, but then the little bears start eating you.
60 feet
is the answer. So you have to climb that tree pretty fast and pretty high.
I can't even climb. Oh, never mind. I'm dead. I'm dead on that one.
All right. So the bear is bounding towards you. You aren't carrying pepper spray. What do? Do you stand your ground? Do you wave your arms over your head? Do you try to speak sternly but calmly? Or all of the above?
I'm scolding the bear.
I'm scolding the bear too. I'm speaking sternly and go back to your den. Take a nap. It's time out.
Well, I say if there's ever an answer with all of the above, that's the one I pick. So that's the one I'm going with. What about you, Lewis?
I think waving my hands in the air like I just don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. You 90s kid.
It is all. You want to do all three. You want to stand your ground, wave your arms over your head, and you want to speak to the bear firmly but calmly.
All right.
All right. The bear is not bluffing.
Oh.
It pounds its front paws on the ground, huffs, then continues its charge. What do? Do you fight back, play dead, or it depends on the type of bear?
How come it doesn't say bend over and kiss your butt goodbye?
I know.
How come
right?
it doesn't have that one in there?
So do we fight back, play dead, or
Yeah.
it depends on what type of bear it is?
Wow, I'd fight back.
Mm-hmm.
You
Any
just gotta
guesses,
start
guys?
slapping the bear around.
I think it depends on the type of bear because some bears you can start to fight back a little bit with or yell at and they'll run away, and other bears you have to play
Well,
dead.
if there's more people with us,
Exactly. It
like
depends on the type of bear.
Lewis just started working with us, so I'd push Lewis at him and then run.
I got a life insurance policy. I'm okay, you know.
All right. Yes. An old bear saying goes, if it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lie down. So that's what you have to
Wow.
remember.
I
Black,
see it.
fight back. Brown, lie down.
I see another T-shirt there. I really do. Hey, we are not living on Earth. We are Earth. I would like to end with these thoughts. If you are listening to the show, you're part of the resistance. We need to resist, divest, join a group, and run for office. From Chief Planty Coops, the ground on which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to support and report. See, I stole that. Stop line 3. We need to resist, divest, and join a group. Wendy, we're still here. We are the 7th generation.
Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3. Please get vaccinated.
Over 14 million Americans are uninsured during the worst pandemic in over 100 years. A majority of Americans who are hospitalized for COVID are people of color. Healthcare for All Minnesota says it's time for any
Ogimaa, have